Once again, isn't it great that my characters just do their own thing? Hey everyone, Bri Picard here. I am the author of the SIGHTBEARER'S Search, Book 1 of ELOHIM'S Nights, and welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, let me give you a real quick introduction. I am the author of this here wonderful book called The SIGHTBEARER'S Search. I have 2 books currently out. This one is coming out, well, it's not currently out, September 20th, and I have a devotional. All links, if you're curious about email subscription, if you're curious about pre-order, if you're watching this before the start of September 2026, ARC readers, all those links will be down below. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. Let's get right into it though today. Today we're going to be talking about what is a sight bearer. This is information that's kind of important. I mean, it is in the title, the sight bearers. So we're talking about Baza, who that is his gift. He is called a sight bearer with Aetos Hold. That is his militia that he is a part of. So we're going to get into a little bit on the magic system and how it works. So what is a sight bearer? Let me just give you that right off the get-go, so that way there's no ambiguity. I touched on this in a different video, but I'm going to give you kind of like a little example, the same example I gave in that previous video. So this is a ball of yarn. Among many other things, I am a crocheter. I dabble in knitting, and when I say I dabble in knitting, it's not my preferred way to do things, but if I'm going to make like a shawl or something, I do prefer to knit. But I love crochet. It is the fastest way of all the slowest ways to make a blanket. But if I were a sight bearer, so if Baza were to touch this ball of yarn, what he would see is what I was creating. He would see through my eyes. He would see the ball of yarn. He would see what's in my hands when it comes to touching the yarn. He'd see what I'm making, which last time was a little pop-up mushroom, which was, I love them. They're so adorable. But anyway, he would see how I was feeling, which was a level of pride and delight at watching it come together. He would see all the process, and he would know how I'm feeling, and he would know what I'm doing. He would also know that if he knew me really well, he would know that it was me. If he doesn't know me really well, he would at least know that I am a woman. He would know maybe my setting, at least wherever I'm sitting holding it. He could pace possibly at a periphery or what have you, because he'd be looking where I'm looking. But he'd be able to see the setting and stuff like that in the periphery. He'd have that kind of knowledge, because wherever I would look, so if I looked up to like check on my kids, he would see that I have kids. That's what a sight bearer does. There are people, all the main characters for all 4 books, so that's going to be Baza, Emmer, Malus, and Ether. They all are born with innate gifts. Baza is a sight bearer. Emmer is a green warden. So I just explained what a sight bearer is. A green warden is somebody who looks after nature. Think stewarding the land. She can feel when the land is sick and the land is healthy or what have you. There's the book by Mercedes Lackey. Mercedes Lackey dabbles in this. It's not like, at least in the books I have read, it's not like the focal point, but the idea of a land sense, where if there's something deeply wrong in the land, a fire or a pain has happened, like a fire or something like that, the Green Warden feels that, is able to kind of trace it and follow it. Plus, she also is able to communicate with animal life. So she has a, because she's also, this is not a gift, a magical ability, but she is also considered a steward. And that is somebody who, their job is to take care of wildlife, to take care of the land, the forest, the field, whatever she's a steward of. Then we have Malus, who is a life binder. And you might be able to guess what that is. He is basically the medic, but he has the innate ability to, when he touches somebody, he can follow in his mind's eye to where the injury or poison or problem is, and more often than not, he is able to rectify the situation. Now, his specialty particularly is in wounds that are like battle type wounds, more than things like poison. There are many times in the book where like Baza will will describe how Malos is healing, and it's like you can watch as the wound knits itself together, and he can make it so there's no scar. You can make it so there's a scar. He's basically the medic. Now, the fourth character is Nether, and his ability is called sound. He's a sound weaver. A sound weaver is somebody that is able to control, to me, it's kind of self-explanatory, but he is able to control sound waves. Now, in a fantasy, that is the terminology I tend to use, is sounds or sound waves, something like that. They're aware of that, which I know sounds a little bit more modern than a lot of your typical fantasy, but it's perfect for his particular skill set, which you'll find out later why he's gotten very good at this in a different book. But he is able to, it makes him very stealthy. He can control people around him. So if the four of them are traveling somewhere and they're trying to sneak in somewhere, he can direct each person's voice into the other ears. So if Bez is speaking, Nether is able to take his voice, sound waves, his voice, and direct those waves into the other three's ears. So it's kind of like having a comm system. It's kind of like having a microphone in your ear. The only difference is it's a gifting, a magical ability. And all of these abilities, they are born with. That's the key there. And a lot of these abilities are in the general populace, but they're to varying degrees. So we're going to get back into particularly Baza, the sight bearer, and we're going to focus on him. The rest we'll delve into once those books are out, because things may evolve, of course, as they are written. Because like I said, my characters like to do side things. So what can't a sight bearer do? A sight bearer cannot, unless they know specifically who the person is and they've trained their gifting to that they'd have to really train it. So an example, there's a scene mentioned in the Sightbearer Search where Baza is trying to find the origins of the kidnappings. Not just his sister has been kidnapped. This is a string of kidnappings that they have not been able to figure out. So he has trained himself when he touches something to know if it's his commanders, his sergeants, his close family, his close friends, like the people that are in his inner circle. He recognizes the flavors and recognizes the settings, recognizes the feelings. He knows who those people are. But the one big limitation is that if he doesn't recognize the person, it's like meeting a stranger to him. If he doesn't know, if he has run into them and it was a remarkable amount of memory, think running to somebody you know that you went to school with in the grocery store, but you didn't really share any classes with. You just passed them in the hallway, right? It's somebody that you see in the grocery store, they're familiar, and I know them from either church, school, work, wherever, but you don't know their name. You don't know their inner workings of their life. You're not even Facebook friends with them, but you recognize them, right? Baza has that ability with a lot of the people that he works with at Aotos Hold. But it's one of those, it's that kind of feeling that I know you from somewhere, but I couldn't pull you out from a lineup. So that's the limitation, is if he doesn't know the person intimately, he won't know. He'll just know if he's familiar with them or not. That's it. Okay. So with every ability that somebody has by nature, there's usually a limitation, a breaking point in their ability, So if you go to somebody that's a bodybuilder, there's going to come a point where their body's just not going to do it. If they push it too hard, they're going to injure something. The same is true for anything you can think of. My husband, a real life example right now, is my husband is a plumber. But he has chronic arthritis. He has a torn rotator cuff. He has plantar fasciitis. Like, he's got a whole host of things, and his body is basically shutting down. The thing is my husband also has a natural innate strength. You wouldn't know it to look at him, but it's nothing for him to just simply pick up, say, a furnace. Like, he's just picked up a cast iron furnace, and just walks up a hill with it. And he's like, yeah, it's heavy, but I can pick it up. Like, it's nothing to him in that kind of regard. He just, to pick up the cast iron pipes that he sometimes has to deal with. They're incredibly heavy. And he's just like, yeah, it's heavy, whatever. And he just does it. But the chronic pain that he deals with is the cost of overuse of muscles that he naturally has. It's that kind of deal. So if Beza, and this happens in the book, with Mallows and Beza in separate times, where they tax their gift so far that they're laid up for a little bit of time. And usually what it results in is a severe headache, a little bit of nausea, general disorientation. Sometimes it can either go so far as to physically weaken them. So there are the limitations. They can only go and push it so far. I know that there is a lot of connotations and a lot of concern from Christian audiences, particularly when it comes to magic in Christian books. But the reality is, as I've said before, that magic can simply be unexplained things. Miracles could be considered magic. Spiritual warfare is definitely sometimes considered magic. And the reality is that certain things just simply do exist. And Christians have a tendency to avoid them. So if you're going to read this book and you hear the words, it's a Christian fantasy, and you're concerned about the concepts of magic in it, as I know some people have been, I wouldn't worry too hard, because these are not things that are fabricated. They're not things that are like sorcery kind of deal. Although there is possession, there are demonic forces, there are angelic forces, all the good stuff in that regard. Good stuff. But if you're worried about that, don't be. I think it's still a great story, and I think that the story itself is what speaks. So when it comes to the magical element of this, it's all inborn. It's like, I have red hair, you may have blonde or brown or black hair. It's something that they're born with. So take it or leave it. Anyway, if you have any questions, let me know down below. What is your favorite fantasy book, and what is it you love most about it? Thank you so much for watching, y'all. I'm so glad you guys are here. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I love y'all.